Hello, happy 4th of July to my 1,253 YouTube channel subscribers. Hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday weekend. I'm currently on my 3.7 mile walk on the bike trail. It's 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is a beautiful day today. And so I'm getting my walk in. And then after this, I'm going to go to the gym and lift a little, not lift the weights because it's Saturday, but walk some more on the treadmill at the gym and do some stretching and everything like that. Take a nice shower. So today's topic is going to be about the big, beautiful bill from the perspective of somebody who is currently living in poverty. So that's my outlook on it, and my 2 cents is going to be so from the Google searches I did, from the reading that I've done on the big beautiful bill, it looks like the rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer, and it has its good things and its bad things in it. For the most wealthy, they're going to get even more wealthy. And then for the bottom tier, the people that's on food stamps, EBT, link card, people that's on Medicare, they get free medical for adults and children alike. Those people are going to be in some pretty serious trouble. But they did have a few good things that are for the poor people, as far as they're increasing the tax return for child credit. That's going up to $2,500 per child. So that's going to help a lot of people out. The worst thing about this bill is that they're adding another $3.3 trillion to the United States national deficit. And that's how much money that's how far in debt we are. And we was already $36.3 trillion in debt of July 2nd, which was the all-time highest that the United States of America, as far as we ever been broke. And then so they're past that bill. They're going to put us $40 trillion into debt. And so what that is, it's going to cause inflation, and the money that you have in the bank. Let's say you got $1,000 in the bank last week. Well, now that's only worth the buying power of that's going to be about maybe 800 or so. It's going to take a bit of a loss. And that's the bad thing is that the money is now more devalued because we're farther in debt. And then so that's one of the worst things. And another bad thing is that a lot of American children are now not going to have medical assistance. A lot of American children is not going to be able to go to the doctors. A lot of the poorer Americans is not going to be able to go to the doctors. And that's pretty sad, especially when 73 other countries on the planet Earth has universal health care. America, United States, does not have universal health care. So that's pretty much with the biggest economy in the world. And here's the thing about that, right? So the government's making a profit of selling us. I just did a little reading this morning, and they say over 75% of the food in the grocery store is unhealthy. It's processed and super processed, which will cause dozens and dozens of health conditions, right? And so the government is making a profit off of selling them groceries to its citizens. And so you think that profit would definitely be enough to cover medical expenses for all its citizens, poor, rich, in between, should have free health care with the largest economy in the world. And then plus, the United States sells some of the most unhealthiest foods to its citizens, along with our drinking water. The tap water also has fluoride, heavy metal toxins that's also going to cause health problems. The air pollution, 50% of the United States air is unsafe to breathe. And then also the soil that grows the food, 20% of that's unhealthy. And then when you're buying the food from the grocery store, even the stuff you think is healthy for you, as far as like strawberries, apples, kale, lettuce, spinach, all that stuff's full of pesticides and chemicals. That's also going to cause health problems. Okay, and so, but they're also, so the air pollution when they're selling coal factories, electricity, gasoline from cars, and the government's making profit on all of that. They're making way more profit where they can easily afford to give free healthcare. So that's one of my major things about that. Okay, and so now, like I said, I'm living in poverty. Now I haven't had a free lead card, free food stamps or nothing like that until last month. I actually I was only spending $25 a week on food, $100 a month on food. However, I fell behind on my child support, my car insurance, my property tax. And so I had to really swallow my pride because I just wasn't able to keep up. And I was like, and I do work. I have a small income of reselling on eBay, which I was the year before last. I took a year off from doing that, but I just started back a few months ago. Now, a couple years ago, I didn't need lead card because I was buying and selling enough on eBay to afford to pay all my bills, pay child support, pay for car insurance, pay for property taxes, spend a couple $100 a month on food. And so I definitely didn't need no any kind of help. And I don't want no help. That's how I was raised. Nothing in life's for free. There's no such thing as free lunch. I don't want it unless I absolutely have to have it. And I absolutely had to have it. Now, besides eBay, why don't I go get a regular job, which I want, but I have a partial hernia that doesn't allow me to lift over 20 pounds. It's very painful. Even when I don't lift heavy weights at the gym. I can't do that. And so I can't really lift heavy weights. And then also I have hypertension, high blood pressure, and I can't really sit down for longer than like 15, 30 minutes or so. And I got to get up and I got to walk around. I got to keep moving because the doctor tested me when I'm standing up. My blood pressure is normal, but when I'm sitting down, I got high blood pressure. So I can't sit down 8 hours a day at a desk job. I can't sit down at a factory doing that kind of job. And I want to be a dishwasher, but I can't even really lift the 200-pound dish tubs. So I have to wait till after I have surgery, which I'm really scared of any kind of surgeries or medications, because I'm a firm believer from everything that I saw that once you start taking medications and have a surgery, it never ever stops. Okay, and so that's something I'm definitely afraid of. I don't want to have surgery on my hernia, even though it's been painful for the last year or so, and I really should. But a lot of those times, you got to keep going back to have surgery after surgery. It is pretty scary. But now the good thing is my cost of living is really cheap. Like all my monthly bills for my house and for my car and child support, food and everything, it's only about $600 a month. So it's not really, my cost of living is really cheap. I don't have any bad habits. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do any kind of drugs. Don't even smoke marijuana. And so I don't have any kind of bad habits, thankfully. So my cost of living is not extremely high. So I could make it by just on a little bit, and I'm fine with that. So now with this big, beautiful bill, if they cut off, the link card and all that, it'll be fine for me. Now, I never in my life went to like a church or, the food pantries or anything like that. I take it back. I did it one time, like 25 years ago. And it was with my kid's mom, which they had. That's funny because, my family's low income, but my family would never ever go to a food pantry in a million years. But my kid's mom, her and her family income is like 15 to 20,000 a month, and they go to the food pantries, and I went with them, and I was embarrassed. But however, before I got approved for the Link card, I told myself I can't even afford to spend $100 a month on food anymore, and that I might have to go to a food pantry. And I was like, well, before I do that, let me just try for this Link card, which I didn't even know if I was eligible, because I think they said you got to work 80 hours a month, and you got to be disabled or homeless. And I'm not disabled, and I'm not homeless. I would say I'm partially disabled with my blood pressure and my partial hernias. Definitely put me in a, not like I was 5-10 years ago when I was definitely healthy to work. But now it's like I'd have to find a job. I would have to find a job to where I don't have to sit down, and I don't have to lift anything over 20 pounds. And I don't know, maybe a Walmart greeter or something. Maybe I swallow my pride and do that. Maybe, I don't know. But but anyhow, but if they cut off if they do cut off the government assistance and all that stuff, I think it'll be a good, it'd kind of be a good thing. I was watching this video earlier of this one guy, this pastor, and he said he got a compound for him in this church, and he got dozens of people that live there, and not one of them is on medication. Even his 89-year-old mother isn't on medication. And so really, prescription medications, I think they're very bad for you. And if you change your diet, exercise, and lifestyle, it's certain things. Like, I have hypertension, low blood pressure, so if I lose weight, it's gonna help. If I lower my stress level, that will help. It's certain foods that you can eat that helps with your blood pressure, and I've been doing all that for over a year now. And pretty much every single thing that they prescribe medications for, you could treat with diet, exercise, and lifestyle change. And so people don't really need prescription medications and stuff like that. It's only like a dire emergency that people really need the healthcare industry. So that's the problem. So then let me give you my solutions. So the solution, I would say, for the United States is really, we got to lower our national deficit, which the big beautiful bill adds to the national deficit. So the $40 trillion, it's going to make the US dollar go even lower value than what it is now. And so what we could do is, if they did cut 90% of government spending all the way around, and then lower the national deficit to zero, and then get a balance to where we're not in debt. We're $40 trillion in profit. We got an abundance of money, right? Then the US dollar will be more valuable, and then maybe we can even go back to the gold standard, where if you got $100 in cash, you could go to your bank and exchange that and get gold for it, okay? But right now, the US dollar has really no value whatsoever, because it's not backed by gold. It's just backed by the government word saying, oh, this money's valuable, So you got to pretty much have 100% faith in the government telling you that their money's valuable. However, it's not, because they owe too much money. So if they reduce the military spending by 90%, which that's another thing that got a big boost, military spending, plus they spent $140 billion on the wall, plus they already had spent $20 billion previously, and all that stuff. And so the more money the government spends, the higher the US debt is, the more there's inflation, unless your money's worth, the more they spend, right? So what they need to do is, they could go ahead and cut out welfare, cut out Medicaid, cut out free food, and then also, while you're at it, take off 90% of the military funding, take away 90% of NASA funding, take away 90% of prison funding, take away 90% of public education funding, because public education is a joke. Like, We're spending all that money on public education. Them kids go all day long for 12 years and they get out and don't even know how to read, write, or do math. So what are we even spending money for on our education system? I say we stop that, and I say we go back to making it a choice if you want to send your kids to school or not. You know what I mean? Do you want to homeschool them? You know, and don't have it to be a legal thing forcing your children to go, because really, honestly, public education is only to brainwash you and to make good slaves that's going to work minimum wage. And if you don't, and if you can't follow directions in school, and if you're not going to be a good minimum wage slave worker, they're going to send you to prison. You know what I mean? That's what happens to all the people who don't do well in school. You know, if you're not going to be a good, obedient slave, that's why they got 2.2 million Americans incarcerated. And all the people that's incarcerated, majority of those really non-violent. And then also, now this could be a conspiracy theory. I'm not 100% sure if it's true, but I'm 99% sure that in 1989, 1990, when rap music was first coming out in New York City, it was very positive, upbeat party music, right? And then the CIA government, see how popular it was with the inner city youth and the minority population. And so they started paying people, giving $1 million contracts if they talk about gangs, drugs, violence, making prison seem cool, prison culture. And so the government invested in music. And then at the same time, they invested in movies from the late 80s to the mid 90s for about 5 years straight. They put out, I think it was like 50 or to 100 prison movies, gangster movies, let's say Blood In, Blood Out, American Me, Boys in the Hood, South Central. They was putting out so many movies that was influencing the youth to make it look, oh, this is the lifestyle to have. And then on top of that, the CIA brought in metro tons of pure cocaine from South America to fight the communism, the Contras, when the United States Senate and House wouldn't fund the war. So the government decided to sell cocaine, and they gave all the cocaine to the blacks in New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. And they also, from what I heard is, now all this stuff I'm saying, I'm only 99% sure of, but they say the CIA government also helped start and fund the Vice Lords, the GDs, the Bloods and Crips. Was all started by the government, funded by the government, and infiltrated by the government. So they had so much, and then they just did a mass incarceration on top of that. You know, they started just locking everybody up, mandatory minimums, where if somebody got caught with a half gram of crack, they would have to do life in prison, you know. And so they was just locking people up forever for nonviolent offenses. So why do we need to spend all our tax money to support that craziness, right? So I say cut all that stuff out, 90%. Let's just run it on bare bones funding, right? Instead of all the funding that they're getting now for prisons, let's cut that by 90%. All the funds for the public education, let's cut that by 90%. All the military stuff, stay out of Ukraine, stay out of Iran, stay out of Israel, stay out of the Middle East. I mean, we lose if you Google it, how many wars has the United States Army lost in 250 years of existence? They lost 11 and they won 11. So that's horrible. When all our money goes to the military, we should have lost not one war, but the majority of the money is embezzled. You know, like they'll say, oh, we spent all this money on such and such, and then 90% of that gets pocketed, and they make the 10% look like 100%. It's a big ass scheme. All of it is. And so we need to shut all that down, all the government spending. And NASA gets so much tax money and they ain't got nothing to show for it, you know. And I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty sure we didn't even make it to the moon. I know that sounds crazy. And when I first heard it 10 years ago, I was like, oh, that was crazy. Like, what do you mean we didn't make it to the moon? However, it doesn't make sense to me that since we've been to the moon in 1969 everything else, all the technology and everything else, every aspect of life has 1,000x itself with home computers, video games, cell phones, just everything technology wise has dramatically increased, but NASA has decreased. And they said why NASA decreased is because they said they don't have the funding for it and they lost the technology, which is crap. And I'll tell you, there's another 100% fact. NASA was founded by German Nazi scientists after World War II. It was like, I think 1,600 German Nazi scientists, and Russia got half of them and America got half of them. And then they came here after 1945 and they started the NASA program. And that was the leader of it. All the workers there, I would say 90%, 9 out of 10 NASA employees from 1945 to 1969 was Nazis, okay? And then after 1969, when they got the fake moon landing, they paid all the scientists millions of dollars. They got their own city in Colorado. And I see this Paul Sinella, he did a video on it. He talked to one of the grandsons of a Nazi scientist and took him around the town and showed all these beautiful homes, and they're all Nazis, okay? So that makes no sense. So anyways, that's what's gonna have to happen to get America great again. And this bill right here, it's just make the rich rich and the poor poorer. The only thing good for the poor and the middle class that happened was if you have kids, then you'll get a little bit of extra money, but because of the national deficit increasing, that money is going to be less valuable anyways, And so, but for the poor people like myself, my advice is to be like me, okay? Because now, I'm gonna be honest. Now, it's gonna take a lot of pride for me to say that I'm living in poverty. I make, $6,000 a year or less, and that's pretty bad, right? But here's the thing, that my spending is so low, and I had to make it even lower, not really by choice, but more by force. For instance, when my daughter came to live with me over a year ago, my bathroom shower, the nozzle wasn't on there. It was just the metal piece, right? So me and my nephew went to try to fix it, and we forgot to turn the water off. It blew the seal on, and then I paid $200 to this. I think this guy was on drugs, and to come fix it. And he said he fixed it, charged $200, but it still had a leak in it. And then over a year's time, the leak got so bad that my water bill was higher than my electric bill, and my gas bill, because the hot water heater had to keep running continuously. My hot water bill went from $10 a month. My gas bill went from $10 a month to $150 a month, and my electric water bill just went so high. So my gas bill was like $550. I couldn't pay that. So I had to turn off the gas in my house. And then the water bill was so high that I had to turn the water off. And I don't have garbage. I don't have no utilities. The only utility I have right now is electric. And I'm looking forward to getting rid of that. Really, I just want to get a solar panel and just run the little bit of electronics that I have, which is not much. And then so that keeps my bills low. And so, yeah, my bills are super low. I cut out all my bills. I mean, last year I did my phone. I don't even have a phone. I got a free text now thing. My internet bill is $30 a month. My gym membership, where I shower and take my garbage and do everything at the gym, that's only $15 a month, okay? And so, yeah, all my bills and my property tax is only $100 a month. And my child support is $170 a month. However, my one of my sons, he'll be 18 in April, and then my other son will be 18 in August of next year. So I only have a little bit over a year left of child support, and then I'll be done with that. So I'm almost at the end, but I've been paying child support since 2004. and it'll be done in 2026. So I spent 22 years paying child support, and the worst thing is, I've never ever been able to see my kids really ever, because the kids' mom and their family felt like if I didn't have a relationship with my kids, I should, or I'm sorry, if I don't have a relationship with my kids' mom, then I shouldn't have a relationship with my kids. And I literally had to go to court dozens of times just for visitation. And because they're multimillionaires and they bought, whole law firms to fight me for my child custody. And the only thing I ever ended up with my judge was 4-hour visits once a month. And that was in South Carolina. So I had to drive 12 hours there, visit with my kids for 4 hours, which they would just be acting really mean towards me because of parental alienation. And then I would have to drive 12 hours back. So I'd have to drive 24 hours to be able to visit with my kids for 4 hours. And just why he was being mean to me, And so, but it is what it is, you just got to do with the best you can and put it in God's hand. It's all God's will. Everything happens for a reason. And so I'm just going to stay humble, and I don't have no hate in my heart or nothing like that. So everything happens for a reason, and I just leave it at that. And so, anyway, yeah, I keep all my bills low. So if you're living in poverty, which they say poverty is, if you're making less than $14,400 a year, then you're living in poverty. But really, if you're making less than $2,000 a month, you're pretty much in poverty. You know what I mean? And so the majority of Americans, especially like next year, 2026, the cost of living will go up another 20% with food and rent, like rent prices. After this, after the national deficit gets raised another $4 trillion, that, because all the landowners and all the people that's invested in apartment complexes, they're all multi-billionaires. And so their money is going to be less valuable. So that means they're going to have to make more money. Okay. So everything's going to go up dramatically next year. So you could definitely expect more rent increases. The value of land is going to probably double. It already like 100x in the last 10 years. And it's probably going to 10x another between another year or two. It's just the price of land is gonna go crazy high. The price of housing, it's gonna be tricky. A lot of these multi-billionaire corporations are buying even the cheapest of houses. But the bad thing is, with computer technology, computer automation, and artificial intelligence, it's going to be a lot of the population is going to be unemployed within by like 2030. It's going to be I would say 50% of Americans will be unemployed. So you would think that would make the housing market go down, but here's the thing: through social media, through music and movies, and all the other outlets, news and all that, all our children are becoming, on purpose, I believe, they're becoming very disrespectful and unappreciative, the whole younger generation. And they'll even tell you that, they'll tell you I'm disrespectful, but they don't know they're very unappreciative. They don't know what appreciative looks like, so they don't even know that. But they're definitely super disrespectful, unappreciative. And the thing is, what the government knows is that people that's disrespectful and unappreciative, they can't live with other people, right? So that means the dad has to live in a house by himself, the mother has to live in a house by herself, and the adult children have to live in houses by themselves. So then that you might see, because everybody has to live by themselves because the morals, values, and principles are so low, because everybody has to work so much hours that they can't really raise their children right. And really the government and social media is raising the kids, TikTok and stuff like that. So everybody has to have their own place. Now, if you went back 50 years ago, you could have large families living in one house, in the 1950s, whatever, because people was very appreciative and respectful. You know, the kids wasn't, it was yes sir, no ma'am, and stuff like that, please and thank you. And then if people had manners like that, they could live together. However, when everybody is so disrespectful, and like Snoop Dogg and Beyonce, you know, they done influenced the parents, and then the kids is, you know, I mean, got influence to them. Like Snoop Dogg said, women ain't nothing but hoes and tricks, you know. So then it's causing all the men not to appreciate the women. And then like Beyonce, I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man, I hate men. So then all this just causes a huge divide, and it's sad. But the good thing is, really the best thing you could do is read the Bible, and try to instill the morals and values into your family. And then, because like the Bible says, you know, the children should respect their parents, and the parents should be slow to anger their children, right? So the parents should be loving and caring and attentive to their children, and the children should respect the parents. And then you can have one house and have, you know, a lot of your family members in there until, you know, they get married and they start their own family. And that's another thing, is that 50 years ago, 90% of adults was married, and now 90% of adults are single. So that whole getting married and starting a family when you become an adult, that's over with. You know, people don't do that no more. So that's why the housing market will, even though it'll be 50% unemployment, it's still going to have to be, the housing market probably still won't crash, because people don't have enough morals, values, and principles, and people are too disrespectful and unappreciative to live together. So the majority of the Americans, they have to live by themselves, you know. And they're even too disrespectful and unappreciative to even be in a marriage or to keep a significant other, because we all been brainwashed through music and movies and everything. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and close. My 3.7 miles almost over with. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you listening to me. And if you wouldn't mind giving it a like and a comment, and what do you think about the big beautiful bill? I really love to hear what you think the good and the bad is. And I try to just give an unbiased opinion and give a view from somebody who lives in poverty. So anyways, hope you have a nice 4th of July. Enjoy your weekend. I'll catch up with you later.